And we say what is today? Saturday to everybody. Christian Ballard Sports Media. What's going on? Good to see everybody today. We already got a couple people watching. Be sure to hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Call in show tonight talking early lines for college football via ESPN Bet. Who do you take on money lines and everything? Now, I'm going to go ahead and be honest. I love spreads in college sports and athletics and NFL, even the pro sports like NBA and everything. It's always interesting to see who's favored in a matchup, especially in pro sports. But when you get to the college side of things, I don't gamble. I don't. But it is interesting to see what Vegas has put out, what the experts have said on ESPN, and I've never actually looked into ESPN Bet. I don't have an account for it. I have an ESPN account, but I don't bet. I don't gamble. But it would at least be interesting to pull up tonight what lines are out there. What are the games? What are the matchups? That would be fun to talk about. Already dropped the StreamYard link. I'd love to get some people on tonight. Go ahead and click that link. Leave us a like and a follow on Facebook, and then on YouTube, leave us a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. We got 5 people watching is what it tells me on StreamYard right now, which is really, really good. Really love and appreciate you guys. We got a couple people on Facebook and the majority on YouTube right now. So looking forward to hearing from all of you while we wait for some callers to get in the back room. We got spots open. We got quite a few people watching. I don't see any comments yet, but I love and appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. Let's go ahead and pull this up here. Uh, what kind of trouble can we get into today? Let's see. So what is I'm blind to this in terms of I did not look this up. I mean, I did look it up, but I haven't like looked through it before going live with you guys tonight. But we're gonna full screen this here, and we're gonna look at what ESPN Bet has for college football in week 0 and week 1. So you could do parlays, which is $10. And if you win all of these, taking these teams on the money line, I guess is 35.67. If you want to add that to your bet slip there. Underdog mentality parlay, Georgia Tech, New Mexico, and Nevada. And then what is this? Gosh, I don't know. Let's just dive into some lines. I don't even know what that last one is there. Uh, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Now we'll do previews soon here in the next week or so. We'll go ahead and start getting previews out and talking about some of these games. But Florida State being favored in this game makes plenty of sense. 12 points. I think it was 13 the other day, so it dropped a point or two. It might have even been 14, so it's dropped 1 or 2 points, which means they are liking Georgia Tech, but they still love Florida State to win and be favored. Uh, my guess, my prediction at the moment, at least for this game, would be that Georgia Tech could pull an upset. The question is, can they cover the spread? That's interesting there. Montana State, New Mexico, 8.5. No one really cares too much about that. SMU, Nevada could be interesting. SMU favored by 26 points. Nevada, not too much of a football school. SMU, really, really good. 10, 11 win team each year. They're favored by 26. Also, they're in the ACC now. Interesting. I don't know if I would take that 26. But I would definitely take them double digits to win a game. I don't know if they cover 26 points, though. We'll see. We'll see. Coastal Carolina at Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State by 3. I guess that makes sense there. Now we get into some good games. Uh, North Carolina, Minnesota, 2.5 point spread. Minnesota favored over UNC. Think about it. They don't have Drake May, and they lost a couple other key pieces, but you still have to love the Tar Heels this year. I think they'd be a really good 7 or 8 win team, maybe 9 if they're lucky. I just think they take some steps back, and I think one of the games they could possibly lose is the game with Minnesota on the road. They could lose that game to start out the year. Let's see what else. FAU, Michigan State. Well, I'm skipping Colorado. 8.5 for Colorado. I don't know if I'd bet on Colorado this year in the Big 12, but the non-con North Dakota State, that's a pretty dangerous team. You know, they put in guys like Trey Lance and others in the NFL already. They got good players. They recruit well. They're one of the best in FCS. Heck, they are. I mean, didn't they win like 3 out of 4 championships in their side of football? I think they did. I would take Colorado to win. 8.5 points. Yeah, they should be able to cover that. Should be able to cover that. Take the 8.5 for Colorado. Michigan State FAU. Michigan State win. I love Jonathan Smith. I think he's a great hire. Comes in from Oregon State. He's going to be really, really good. Going to help improve Michigan State, in my opinion. Give me Michigan State in that game to win, most likely. We'll do pick 'em soon. The question is, do you take them to cover 11.5, which means they would have to win by 12 or plus points? That's all on Michigan State. It's on how they want to play with Kane Hauser and company on offense. How do they want to play conservative ball to the point that they can cover this spread and say Vegas was right? It's up to Michigan State there. Oklahoma and Temple, 42.5. Give me a good game here. Oh, look at this. 2 of these games right here. This is interesting. No one cares too much. I mean, you like Pitt and you like Kent State, but 23.5 makes sense. Pittsburgh should handle that game no problem. Waylon, what's up, man?
Chris, what's going on, man?
Not much. I'm curious on some of these spreads for college football week 1, and we're kind of looking at what ESPN Bet has.
Yeah, I was looking at Alabama's 32 and a half favorite over Western Kentucky.
Is it 32.5? Wow.
Yeah,
I knew it would be big, but
they
that's
always put
huge.
they always put the half on there where that .5 means a lot there if you know what betting is. But anyway,
Yeah.
Alabama -8 over Wisconsin. I think they can beat Wisconsin 8 points or more.
Yeah.
Let's see. We favored 2 over Kentucky. I think we not Kentucky, Tennessee. I think we can beat Kentucky by 2 or more. Or Tennessee. I'm sorry, I got Kentucky on my mind. I was reading an article about
Yeah.
Kentucky. Yeah, eight and
Let's
a half
see
over
what
Mizzou. Eight and a half over Mizzou. I think that's pretty good. I think we can handle Mizzou 8.5.
yeah.
1 point LSU. Maybe I don't know. 2 points Oklahoma. And Georgia is favored by 4.5 in Tuscaloosa. How you like that?
I get them favoring Georgia, but 2.5 makes sense. I mean, that can't be more than one possession, I would say. This
Yeah.
one gets me right here. This one gets me. Notre Dame goes to Texas A&M, and Texas A&M is a 1 point favorite, not underdog. The spread was even the other day, and I guess it had to have changed within the last like 48 hours. Last I checked it, but that could be an interesting game there. I
That's
like
smart.
Mike Elko at A&M, but I also like the direction of Notre Dame right now. That's a really tough game to call.
What'd you say the points? What was it? Plus what? What was the points? I can't see that on the screen. What'd you say it
It's
was?
uh it's just a point, just one.
Uh, I don't know. Like over who? What? Texas A&M and Notre Dame.
Yeah,
I don't.
A&M's favored.
I don't think either one of them make the play. Make a bowl game. They might.
Notre Dame will definitely make a bowl game. I think the big question is for A&M and what they
A&M,
do, but
they ain't making nothing. Texas, Notre Dame. Notre Dame might make a bowl game. They might do pretty good, but Texas A&M. I don't know. Maybe they'll make a bowl game. I don't know. I guess you win 6 games, you get a bowl game. I don't know.
yeah, Southern Miss and Kentucky. Oh, here's one. So LSU, USC, and then Texas and Michigan. Interesting that LSU is favored over Lincoln Riley, and then going to the Big House, even on the road against the defending champs. Texas is a favorite, 3.5. Uh, so you have the Sunday night game with LSU, USC, and then the following Saturday, week two starts a home and home with Texas and Michigan. This is getting good.
Uh, let's see. What'd you say it was? Texas was what? Minus 3.5 or 2.5?
3.5.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really worry about those other teams. I think Texas has got a better team, way better team than Michigan does myself. But
This year, at least, with everything Michigan lost, I mean, Texas used the portal and didn't really lose much.
I was getting a drink of Coke. I think Texas can. I think Texas will beat Michigan. I sure do. I think that. Where are they playing at? Ann
That
Arbor.
at Yeah, Ann Arbor.
Well, that makes it a little tougher. But I think Texas can take them. Sure do.
5 points, Tennessee over NC State. I would take that probably. I'll take Tennessee to win that game. It's at NC State though.
Yeah, probably NC State never has a whole lot, but they're pretty good with the teams they play. But yeah, probably so. We'll see. What we got on the Wisconsin game? What they got? What they got? Minus 9.5 or plus 9.5? I can't see that. What is it?
Well, it's it's minus 9.5 for Alabama. They are favored,
Right.
but to cover that spread, we got to win that game by 10 points at least at the moment until the line changes, goes up or down. But I think we could do it. Wisconsin's going to be a tough team just going on the road for Kalen DeBoer. I think.
9.5. I was looking at what I say 24/7 had it my 8. So they got it down 24/7 has it at -8. They've got it minus 9.5.
Yeah,
I think so, probably. If Alabama should play football and handle business, they should beat them by a touchdown. They should beat them by 10 points or more.
yeah, they should.
I'd
I
say
don't really believe.
at least a field
Uh,
goal and a touchdown, at least.
yeah, even if they get like a late score just to seal the game, even if it has to happen late, you know, they
Yeah,
should still walk out of there double digits.
that messes a lot of people's pocketbooks up when they go doing them last 1 second scores or couple of minute scores. I tell you, who's up next? Texas A&M, Florida.
Yeah, A&M by 3.5.
Way Florida's been playing, probably so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both of them not too hot, so I don't know. I'll go with Texas A&M because I think they're a little better than Florida.
All right. Tennessee and Oklahoma. Oh, that's the game I don't want to mess with. And this next one too, I don't want to mess with, but we'll start with Tennessee for Oklahoma's pretty much their opener in the SEC, and I believe hosting they are hosting the Volunteers,
Well, they
and
got.
they're favored by 4.5.
Well, that means 5 over Oklahoma. I don't know what Oklahoma has. I've never kept up with anything Oklahoma's ever done, even when they had good football teams. So I don't know one. I couldn't name one player on that football team. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Tennessee, the way they play, are they? I think they're playing that in Neyland. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in Neyland, or they got to go out to Oklahoma.
No, I think that one's at Oklahoma, but that next game you see where Oklahoma's listed by 2.5, they got to go to Jordan Hare. But that Tennessee game's before that one, so and they got to make sure they're not overlooking it at home.
The way Auburn's been playing 2.5, yeah, that's easy. Auburn, you don't know what they're going to do. Of course, they may beat them, but if I
Yeah,
was going to bet, I would bet my money on Oklahoma. If Auburn is, like I told you last week, if Auburn don't win at least 7 or 8 more games this year, I would say at least 7 or 8. Hugh Freeze is going to be on them. His seat's going to get hot, man.
yeah,
I mean, I know
yeah. I would
people.
agree.
I know people don't want to hear it. And well, where are they going to get another coach? Well, I don't know, but his seat to get hot. But Oklahoma over Auburn, I'll take Oklahoma over Auburn. The way Auburn's been playing, I'll take it.
Yeah, and that's like week 4 of the season too. So it might change after the season gets going because if Oklahoma starts struggling or if Auburn actually looks really good, which is very possible. But I would probably take Oklahoma in a really close game at Jordan Hare. But at the same time, I still view this as they're going to get a wake up call and a welcome to the SEC because that's not an easy place to go.
No, it's not an easy place to play, whether they're good or bad. There's some teams that they just skin their ears back and they throw everybody in there in the water boy, and that's Alabama's one of those games. But yeah, it's a tough place to
Yeah,
play. It's a hostile crowd. It's a hostile environment. There's no doubt about it. Who's next?
for sure. Well, we got Arkansas, Texas A&M, A&M by 10.5. I think they'll win that game no problem because as much as I love Sam Pittman, and I know he loves his cold beer and everything, but he he's struggling right now with Arkansas. But I think they might be improved on paper, but at the same time, they're going to lose a game like A&M. I think to Mike Elko. But after that, that's a 10.5 point spread. I'll get your thoughts on that. But then we got Georgia and Alabama, of course.
I think Sam Pittman pulls a rabbit out of his hat. I think he wins a few this year he don't supposed to win. I think this is one of them.
Yeah,
Sure do. I really
yeah,
mean that. I keep up a little bit with Arkansas because I like Pittman. He seems like, seen all Arkansas coaches as far back as I can remember, and I've been watching college football a long time. They've
yeah.
always, I mean, you go back, in the 70s, 60s, 70s. Arkansas has some good football teams, even into the 80s, but Houston Nutt never could turn that program around. And I mean, Gus Malzahn was his offensive coordinator there.
Yep.
What years was that? 5, 6, 7, and 8, or am I correct? Somewhere along in there, I think.
Yeah, just before he left for Auburn, I think.
Yeah, and but right after Tuberville got run out, they hired Gene Chiswick, and Chiswick didn't he
On
hire
the title.
Malzahn? Yeah, didn't he hire
Yes,
Malzahn?
yes, because Malzahn was the OC in 2010, at
Mm-hmm.
least that year, and then
Mm-hmm.
he came in. I want to say he was on staff 11 and 12, and then they hired from within when they fired Chiswick.
They hired him. He got that job in 2012. That's when he got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Yeah. Georgia minus 4.5.
for Alabama and
Yeah,
Tuscaloosa.
I
And
know.
that is all. Listen, I promise you, Waylon, let me ask you this. If Nick Saban was still our head coach, would Georgia be a favorite in this game, you think? Or do you think this is Alabama's trying to figure some stuff out?
Well, them ranking Georgia number 1 this year. with what Alabama done last year, if Nick would still be there, I don't think the point spread would be quite. I don't believe it would be 4.5. Might be 2.5. Might even be
Yeah.
a little lower than that. But they probably, in my opinion, Georgia probably would have been favored more than likely. And just to make
Okay.
it just to make it interesting, coming into Tuscaloosa, it makes you scratch your head a little bit. But I don't know. You can look at it both ways.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good game. I would not be surprised either way it goes. I mean, if Alabama pulls it off, that'd be amazing as a fan to watch. But Georgia's a juggernaut right now, and so is Alabama. They're still going to be really, really good and could make the playoffs, but that's going to be a tough challenge. And this is your opener for the SEC. If you're Alabama and Kalen DeBoer, it's time to put your big boy pants on.
Well, I had some guys call and talk to me that was at the scrimmage today. I don't know if you've talked to anybody. They were they was, praising Milrow pretty good. And the only thing I'm worried about is, as the defensive backs once again. I've been worried about the secondary now for 3 or 4, 5 years probably, and they sort of have been a little bit wobbly at times, and
Yeah,
especially, I mean, wobbly. I mean, getting penalized, the penalties all the time, pass interference. I mean, you're just a half a step away if you take your eyes off that defender or whatever you're doing. I mean, they're going past you, and then you got to grab them, or you got to grab some shirt, or you got to hit them with your arm, try to slow them down. They just about throw every flag on that. But I just don't think Georgia beats Alabama in Tuscaloosa. It's not because I'm an Alabama fan. I don't know. I think Alabama beats them by a field goal.
all right, that's fair. And I guess again, I'm not really much of an expert on betting, but you think 4.5 points to cover it and win, Georgia would have to win it by 5 plus, and you
Yeah.
say we beat them by a field goal. Okay, so I guess that means someone's got to cover the spread. That would mean it's in Alabama and their court to cover because they won the game as an underdog. I guess that would make sense.
Plus 4.5. That means you got to win by 5.
Oh, okay.
I can't see it. I think that's plus 4.5. Ain't that right? Minus
Yeah,
120,
yeah.
minus 120. Yeah, I see it now. Yeah. I don't know. I think we beat them by a field goal. I think it's a tight football game, but I mean, coming into Bryant Denny, Kirby O's Alabama butt whooping now. I agree with that. But if Nick was there, he'd be shaking his boots a little more. I think
Yeah.
there's something he's let a little air out. He thinks, well, I ain't got to butt heads with my old boss anymore. Let's see what this cat can do. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's just I say a field goal. That's what I'm gonna go with, a field goal.
Okay. That's fair. Shout out to the comment section too on YouTube and Facebook. We got Daniel, Nate, Mayhem, and my good friend who covers Alabama and college football, Jonathan Lewis. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Um, yeah, I would be shocked if it wouldn't surprise me no matter what the outcome is. The only thing that would surprise me about Georgia and Alabama, Waylon, is that it's more than one possession. Like if you win by 4 or 5 points, that's still a one score game because you could go down and score a touchdown late. But let's say it doesn't happen. If Georgia walks into Bryant Denny and wins by 4 or 5 points, covers the spread, okay, you won. That's fair. But if they walk in there and just dominate the game, I would be very surprised.
It's once again, is they're Alabama. Like I said, Georgia owes them one. I mean, that's just the way it
Yeah.
goes. But do they give it to them at Bryant Denny? I'm still going to stick with a field goal. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see it. It's going to be a tough game. Who's up next?
Same spread, different game. Texas A&M hosting the Missouri Tigers, 4.5 point spread. I like Missouri this year. I really do. I like them to have a little bit of a better season, possibly make a squeak in the playoffs if they can play their cards right. It's all going to be dependent on quarterback play and everything from them. I just I think they got a lot of really good talent. They still got Luther Burden, you know, at wide receiver and everything. But being at home in this game, Texas A&M, you have Mike Elko. He's a really good coach. He's a good mind to bring in, especially if you want to boost the offense and everything. I I don't know I don't know if this is a game I would mess with.
Missouri
Honestly.
takes them. Missouri's going
Yeah.
to Missouri will win a few games this year. They're not supposed to, like Arkansas. Missouri's been they sort of been right there on the edge for the last couple of years. I mean, they had Georgia a little bit on the ropes, and I don't know. I think Texas A&M just. It's not that I don't dislike. I mean, Jonathan Lewis knows way more about Texas A&M than I'll ever know. If he's still on here, I wish he'd pop in and tell us about Texas A&M because uh,
Yeah,
I just don't keep up with them, and I don't know enough. If I was going to bet, just looking at it, I'd go with Missouri.
I
Just
got you.
I don't. I think Missouri would have a little better. I don't. I just think that I think Missouri, but win a few games once again. Like I said, they don't supposed to, and Texas A&M probably be one of them. I know Texas A&M fans don't want to hear that, but I don't. It don't matter to me. Who's next?
Um, Auburn and somebody here. Who is this? Georgia. Oh, this is the Deep South game, 23.5. It's at Georgia this year. Kind of they're the same way with Alabama and Auburn. Where they go on the road to us, they also travel early in the season on the road to Georgia. So
Uh,
23.5. I don't know about that. I'm not touching that
I don't.
because
I don't know. Georgia should have beat Auburn. Should have beat Georgia and Alabama last year. I mean, there's no excuses. They had both of them on. They had Alabama knocked from out of the damn ring.
yeah, right.
It was like a wrestling match, and it was like the Undertaker. He just raised up. Alabama stood back up and got in there. You can't let them back in the ring.
Uh-uh.
I don't care when you got a quarterback like Milroe can throw the ball. I don't know how far he can throw it. Probably from one goal line to the other one. And
Probably.
as strong as he is and the way he can run, I mean, those wide receivers, like I said, it's just a matter of a half a step and you're beat. And that's exactly what happened in that corner of the end zone. And it was lights what out in Georgia. I mean, that's just the way it is. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see no, what'd you say, 23.5 points?
Yeah, for Georgia and Auburn, I
Uh,
would take if it were at Auburn, I would say differently, but I think being at home, under the lights in Athens, if it's a night game or even if it's a noon game or whatever time it's at, actually it is a noon game. I see it right there, but I would say lay the points on Georgia. Mayhem, we got you on here. You're a Georgia fan. What do you think, man?
yeah, lay it on.
Um, right now, if they face off today, I'm definitely taking Auburn in the points, but I'm taking Georgia to win, obviously. But I mean, that's clear last year. I mean, yeah, it was at Auburn. Weird things happened at Auburn, but it was a ridiculous point spread back then. Another ridiculous point spread. I think Auburn, Georgia, from here on out is going to be really close games even if it's at Georgia. I think Georgia pulls out the win. If this was maybe like a 13.5 point spread, I would say, okay, give me Georgia, but 23.5, nah, I take Auburn in the
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
What's up, Jonathan Lewis? I don't think I've actually talked to you one on one, but I love your content, man. Thanks for stopping in.
No, of course, I appreciate it.
What you think about some of these spreads, man? You got any insight?
So I'm a little bit behind. I've been moving half the day. So as far as the spreads go, the one that pops out, I don't know who was just talking about it, but the 23.5 over Auburn seems a little bit much in my opinion. Let's see, Tennessee, Texas A&M over Missouri. Yeah, I mean, what's you guys' take on Missouri? Do you think they're going to have another outstanding year? Do you think Drinkwitz is going to take them to the next level, or do you think they're going to take a step back? What's your guys' opinion on Missouri?
Well, I'll say
I
this.
Go ahead, Mayhem.
I'll say this: Missouri's schedule favors them a lot. Um, you know, I pegged them around 10-2 again. I'm sure they can drop a game and go 9-3, but I don't really see them going outside of the 9-3, 10-2 range. I think they're going to be good once again. I think their schedule is a little bit easier than a lot of the SEC. I think they're
Yeah.
one of the easiest schedules in the SEC.
Yeah, them and Texas both have fairly easy schedules. They kind of screwed Oklahoma in their inaugural season, whereas Texas gets it off a little bit easier, which is wild. But yeah, no, I don't know what to make of Missouri. I'll be honest with you. I like Eli as a coach, but from the years of watching Missouri, we know that they are very inconsistent. So they'll have a pretty good year, pretty up year, but also I like the quarterback. I think his name's Brady Cooper. So, man, yeah, anything with Missouri, and I'm a gambler, by the way, on college football. I love gambling on college football. I will never gamble on a Missouri game because I've been screwed over so many times on them, thinking I knew what I was talking about and had no idea.
Yeah,
Right.
they have Brady Cook, and they also have a couple of wide receivers in Luther Burden, a really
Yeah,
good.
Luther Burden, yep.
Um, and then they also have, I can't remember the dude's name right off the top of my head, but I know he transferred from Oklahoma to Missouri. He played for Missouri last year. I just can't remember the dude's name right off the top of my head, but he's going to be a really good player for them as well. Um, and I think they're, Missouri past couple of years has always had a really good defense. I don't see why they can't have another good defense this year. Bring some good players in. I know some good players left, but I think Missouri is on their way to having another pretty good season.
Watch a
Yeah,
guy too for Missouri. Watch is Theo Wees, is he still there?
he's the one that's from Oklahoma.
Oh, that's the one
Theo.
Mayhem was talking about
Yeah,
then.
he's the
Okay.
one.
I didn't realize he transferred.
So he got
I know he's
back.
been there a while.
He got injured before he transferred, and last season he wasn't fully healthy. And I think this season, like you said, Mayhem, I think you can see kind of more of a breakout year. Is this for week one? No, I'm assuming this is not week one spreads. What's
This
Alabama's spread
is
on their game? I'm curious because I haven't looked
so
at spreads at all.
32
for
and a
the first
half,
game.
Jonathan.
32 and a half for the first game.
32 and a half, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there we go. So, and I'll be honest with you, I would take that 100%, knowing Kalen DeBoer and this offense they're going to be running. It's like an air raid mixture. It's going to be, and I don't know if you guys have been watching spring practice and stuff, but my God, this offense is going to be scary.
Yeah.
I hope
It,
so.
it's no,
Jeremy Bernard, man. Jeremy Bernard balled out in the spring. And he
dude.
transferred from Washington and used to be at Michigan State. I mean, he's been around a lot, and
Yeah.
I would not be shocked if he's our lead weapon.
Do you guys remember when was it 2016 when not Lincoln Riley, Jesus, when Lane Kiffin came into Alabama initially and kind of implemented the first spread offense at Alabama?
Yeah.
This is it. The foundation of what you're seeing is this. It's going to be horizontal and vertical stretches all over the place. A lot of movement through the ball, running off tackle, jet sweep motion stuff. Yeah, and I'm telling you guys now, if you're not paying attention to law, good luck, because law is going to kill it in this system.
Yep. Yep.
Route technique is a big thing, and Kendrick Law can run route. Jeremy can run route. I mean, Kobe, like these guys are going to be, I'm telling you, scary this year. It's going to be a lot of underestimating Alabama this year when it comes to this offense,
Yeah, for sure.
especially with Jalen Milrow.
Yeah. And again, that got us at 31 points for that first game. We had mentioned Texas and Michigan is 3.5, which is very interesting to me. That's going to the big house for Texas. I think they could win it just because I think they'll be a better team. But yeah, I would don't place any money on that because I think that could go any way you look at it. But just being a tough crowd and everything in Ann Arbor,
Yeah.
even though I don't expect much from Michigan this year, other than take a small step back and maybe squeak in the playoffs, I I like a close game against Texas, and I like the Longhorns to get this dub. If they do drop it, it'll be fine. They just need to hope that they don't drop more than one more game. I mean, again, they got Georgia later in the year, but that's a game to circle, but not to place money on right there in my book.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't even know what's going to be up with Sharon Moore now that all this stuff got dropped in NOA. So
Well,
now that
Yeah.
speaking of that, do you know who's going to be the honorary captain for Michigan in their
I
very
saw
first
that.
game?
I can't believe they're allowing that to happen.
He got a
Yep.
he got a 4.5 year show clause, and they're letting the son bitch show back up and be the
That's
grandmaster of ceremonies. Come on, talk to him, Jonathan.
That's dirty. That's one of the dirtiest moves I've seen. Like if I'm a Michigan fan, I'm embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
Like for real. Like I don't see how you're not embarrassed for this. And I'll be honest with you guys on this. The Texas Michigan game, because of what's surrounding that program, and now that the recruiting class is starting to suffer, that game could actually get out of hand. I think Texas could actually beat them by double digits if they don't watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Because of everything that's going on. There's so much distraction in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see it happening. I agree
Um,
with you. Sure do. Yeah.
So let's talk about this game for a second, John. Alabama goes to Knoxville on October 19th. I almost wanted to take a trip out there, but I'm going to 2 home games this year instead. But I'm sure it's going to be a good crowd. We lost last time we went to Neyland.
Yeah.
2.5-point spread for Alabama. What do you make about the opponent in Tennessee? And is that spread reasonable? Do you think are we undervaluing the Tide at this point in the season? What do you think, John?
I think we got to see how Kane Womack's 4.25 looks, because Nico is extremely dangerous at that quarterback position. They have experience at running back. They bring back an experienced offensive line. Their offense is going to be humming, just like Alabama's will be. I think the big difference of what it's going to come down to is, and I think it's the biggest question mark this whole offseason since Kane Womack has been brought in, is going to be what exactly is this 4.25 looks nothing like we've ever seen at Alabama since Nick Saban, right? So
Right.
I think that's going to be a big part of it. You're going to see a lot more free floating, defensive backs. The Husky position with Devontae Smith running that, him or was it Red Morgan? So like, yeah, that's going to be a tough one, man. Like that's one of those that game. I'm really glad the SEC is considering implementing this whole injury rule, because the one thing that Josh Heupel does not do is that he does not release injury information prior to games. And now the SEC is thinking about mandating that these injuries be released the week of. So, and that's another thing that screwed us people like me in the past, is like when Tennessee or even Alabama doesn't release the injuries until they literally kick off, because that's when they're required to release it, unless the SEC does what the Big Ten does, which means as a Monday and the kickoff is Saturday, but it's Monday, you're releasing that injury information.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Will Saban, he's kept it under the cover himself, for several years too, so.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I love saving the death. But man, when it comes to placing my bets, I'm cussing the dude almost every week because I don't know who's healthy and who's not. So,
Well,
but
they're
yeah,
all, I don't know. They all do it, Jonathan. They've all
Yeah, they
leaned
have.
toward, I'm not telling but I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. You really think it's a bad thing, sure enough?
I think it's a good thing that they have to release information from a gambling standpoint, because this game is revolving around so much money. I think that you almost like I get it. Like if there was no gambling, I wouldn't care, right? So, but I think because people's money's at stake, you know what I mean. I think you almost have to consider that. That's the only
Yeah.
reason behind it.
Yeah.
I would agree with that because, it's some people say next man up. Okay, well, that's the case for every college team. They should have that mentality. But the reality is,
No.
it's not that way at every single school. And losing one key player, let's say if all you got is one big time receiver or something, or your quarterback, or you lose that guy, and these people just place money on a team to win,
Yeah.
like placed a butt ton of money, and they lose the one thing that was going to win them the game. Like, there's going to be a lot of people that get really ticked off because they just blew their money.
Yeah, but at Alabama, like I know you just kind of touched on this a little bit, but Alabama has to be that next man up mentality. I mean, the way that they recruit every single year, even right now, Alabama, isn't aren't they still in the top five? I mean, in recruiting. I mean, this guy has been a winner everywhere he's been, all the way from the ground, all the way till to the big times. I think Kalen DeBoer is going to be very, very successful at Alabama. I don't really expect him to be like SEC champions going into playoffs first year, but I could see within the next 3 years him doing that. And also, um, you know, a team like Kentucky, if they lose their quarterback, yeah, they're going to lose games. It's almost
Yeah.
a foregone conclusion that they're losing games. You seen that whenever what's his name, Will Levis, couple years ago, whenever he got injured, they ended up losing like 3 straight games in a row. They were on pace to win 8 or 9, maybe even 10 games that year with the bowl win. So whenever he got injured, it pretty much their whole entire season was ruined. They ended up going 7-5. But a team like Alabama, it is next up mentality. You got your all 3 quarterbacks are either 4 or 5 stars. Yeah, you should be able to still win games with them players. I'm gonna make a reference to what Carson Beck said, since I am a Georgia fan, I do follow them a little bit closely. But just like Carson Beck said this past week, he told the second string, third string, he told all his quarterbacks, he said, you need to practice like you're going to be playing as a starter in this Clemson game. That's what he told them. He literally said, "Don't practice like you're not going to be in that game, because you need to practice like you're playing this game." And Carson Beck said that through his years of at being at Georgia, he did not practice like that, and it came back to bite him in the butt. And he said that he advises all his quarterbacks to practice like they're playing this game against Clemson. So you got to have that mentality whenever you're teams like Georgia and Alabama.
Yep. Yep. I say it all the time too because of their recruiting and talent and the way they utilize the portal. I mean, you know, there are teams in the SEC that want to take out. Think about it. Not that they want to hurt the players, but they're probably going to hurt the players. I'm not saying it's going to be Carson Beck or whatever, but Georgia's had their list of injuries. So has Alabama in recent years, and it's bit them in the butt at times. But the way they recruit at a high level, top 2, top 3, whatever, every single year, the talent is there, and it has to be next man up.
I mean, in 2021, for example, everybody wants to talk about injuries and stuff like that. Georgia, to begin the season, was down to pretty much all freshman wide receivers. You got a freshman tight end in Brock Bowers. Yes, he ended up being one of the best tight ends, and at least in since I've been alive. But we had pretty much all nothing but freshmen. Our best wide receiver was out early on. He only played one play in the SEC championship against Alabama. George Pickens
Yeah.
ended up not really doing anything for Georgia, and we still managed to have that next man up mentality. And it just goes to show that these elite schools, like the Georgias and Alabamas of the world, um, you know, have to have that mentality, because you recruit at a high level, you develop at a high level, and you should be playing at a high level like that.
Yeah. Let's see what other spreads there are. You guys bring up a really, really great conversation and good points. 16.5 Georgia over Tennessee, 2.5 A&M at Auburn. Uh, I don't know. 3.5 Texas A&M. I could go down the list. It ends with the Iron Bowl.
Statistically,
Yeah.
and analytically, I don't know why, but the numbers love A&M this year. And by that I mean like they're expecting, if you go by analytics, 7-5 or 8-4 is Texas A&M, and some of them even push them to 9-3. I don't see that when I see
No, not at all.
A&M, and even in these spreads, you see it like what was Texas A&M's against Texas 3.5.
3.5, I think.
I
Yeah.
just I'm sorry, but that back end of Texas A&M, how are they going to slow down Isaiah Bond and those wide receivers? Like
Yeah.
it baffles me when you look at the love that's given to A&M this year. I really don't understand it. I'm not getting it. I guess it's because of Mike Elko going there now from Duke.
Yeah, well, he's again another guy that's kind of utilized a little bit of transfers. The recruiting has still been pretty good. He's in here. I get if you want to show him a little bit of love, but I would jump on the train that they're overhyped this offseason.
Big time.
And yeah, big time. And the fact, let me scroll back down here. The fact that it's only like a 4 or 3.5 point spread, and yeah, I get Texas is going to be favored. I want to say that game is also at Kyle Field, and I do think they take that into consideration. And as much as I
Right.
hate to say it, like I love like the fact that we take environments into account, but you got to draw the line somewhere. Texas should win that game, no problem, in my opinion.
But I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate here. Last year, if I would have told you Oklahoma's beating Texas, would you have believed me?
Yeah.
Oh no, me personally, no.
It's like Alabama Auburn game. Anything goes sometimes.
But yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're right, Waylon, for 100% sure on that. And a lot of Texas A&M fans hated seeing Oklahoma and Texas coming over the SEC. Hated it.
I mean,
Throwing fits.
this Texas A&M used to be a huge rivalry. I think no, I think it's still a heated rivalry, even though they didn't play games for a while. This is still a heated rivalry, and this game is going to show you how much of a rivalry it is. You already got players on both sides of the teams talking about how they've hated each other and how they can't wait to play each other and how they want
Mhm.
this to be the next big rivalry in college football like it used to be and stuff like that. But um, I I'm one of them people that kind of like A&M this year. Um, I do have them going 8-4. Uh, you know, I I feel like they don't have like a really tough schedule. I mean, they don't have an easy schedule either, but I feel like A&M with Mike Elko. Remember, Mike Elko was a coordinator at A&M back in the Johnny Manziel days. He was able to take a Duke team and back-to-back 9-win seasons, and he's coming over to Texas A&M again, but this time as a head coach. I'm expecting him to do good. I don't really expect A&M to, I mean, go like 10-2 or 11-1 or anything like that. That's crazy, but a solid 8-4 for the first season should be reasonable.
Now let me ask you this. That first game with Notre Dame, and I'll do previews and predictions later on, but is that a loss for you for A&M Mayhem? Is that one of their 4 losses? Or do they go out the gate at home at night and get a victory? What do you say? What are their losses?
I do think they lose to Notre Dame. Um, I don't have the schedule pulled
Hmm.
up in front of me right now, but
I can pull it up. I got it. I got it. Hold on. Y'all got to see this. I'll help you pick too. I don't care.
Texas A&M it's a different animal down there where you're coaching down there. When you step into that environment, you've got that much money and that much alumni up your rear end. 24/7, 365 days a year. It's like getting out of a Toyota into a Cadillac coming from Duke to Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I mean that's the way I look at it. But I mean, everybody has their opinion. I think they beat Notre Dame. I agree. I think they knock them off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm undecided, but I think I know it's going to be a close game. I'm just undecided on which way I'm leaning.
So
Notre Dame doesn't really handle big road games. I don't think they usually pull upsets at South Bend, but
I'm gonna
I
say
guess
this.
I could take it.
I'm gonna say in their first 4 games, they're gonna be 3-1. Whether you want them to beat Notre Dame and lose to Florida, or beat Florida and lose to Notre Dame, you got to go on the road to the Swamp. That's a very tough environment. Even though Florida's going to be absolutely hot dog water, you got to understand that this is the Swamp. It's a 3:30 game. Good thing it's not a night game, but Florida's going to be very tough for them, and also Notre Dame. So if I'm playing the statistics, I'm going win one, lose one. So I'm saying 3-1 in the first 4.
Okay, that's fair. I would say that too because they're either going to beat Notre Dame and drop Florida, or they're going to drop Notre Dame and get really ticked off. They'll have a rest week with McNeese, and then they'll go to the Swamp and take care of business there. Looking at the rest of their schedule too, Arkansas and Arlington, they'll probably win that. Missouri, I would say a loss. I'm kind of curious about. Here's the thing: Kyle Field's a really tough place, and they get their tough games, their toughest games at home. You got Notre Dame, you got Missouri, you got Texas at the end of the year. You do have to go to places like Williams Brice and Jordan Hare with South Carolina and Auburn, but for the most part, their games are at home. And I think that they could drop one or two of those, and then you'll have road losses possibly. So I could honestly say 7-5 or 8-4 this year for the Aggies seems reasonable. Would anyone disagree?
I'd say solid 7-5 or 8-4. I think the big thing we're leaving out is LSU because LSU could be one of the most consistent teams out there this
Well,
year if they
I want.
improve the defense.
I do want to say this. I am very, very high on LSU. I got them going 11-1.
Yeah.
I am very high. I've always wanted Nussmeier to start over Jaden Daniels. I've always said it. Whenever I saw him just light Georgia up in the SEC championship. Now listen, Georgia still had some of their starters out there that they wasn't playing no third stringers. Okay, so all the Disney dog fans that wants to say, well, we was playing third stringer. No, we wasn't. We was playing first stringers. I mean, even Kirby Smart was highly upset that this dude was just dotting them up. And I literally said that LSU had a better chance of beating us in the SEC championship if they started Nussmeier instead of Jaden Daniels. Because remember, going into that game, Jaden Daniels was already injured, but he was being stupid, put him out there. I think Nussmeier is going to be very, very talented. He's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC, in my opinion. And I have them going 11-1, man. I'm very excited.
What's their one loss?
What's their one loss?
I
Yeah.
would
Y'all-
say again is do they play A&M at Kyle Field?
Yes.
It's at Kyle Field, yeah.
I would say either them or you can, I guess you could say Alabama, but I really think they got Alabama's number this year. I don't really see them losing outside of one game. I really don't.
They have
Go ahead.
they have to open.
He stands in the pocket too long, man. If you got a defense and get him out of that pocket, he's done. He'll cut
If
you all
you
to
think,
pieces if
listen,
you let him stand
I
there.
could get the case. You say they bring guys back and they improve the line and everything, so defense will be improved. But if you think the offense is going to be improved with Jaden Daniels now in the NFL, you're crazy, man. And you got to have that offense fired up. to play in the SEC these days. And I'm not saying it won't be, but I just don't see it. And even the schedule, man. USC to open things up. They could probably win that Sunday night game. They probably will. They could very much lose that game. At South Carolina, I think they'll win. I think South Carolina's going to struggle this year. Shout out to our friend Twisted Rooster and Gamecock Chuck and all them. UCLA, that's not a pushover team. Ole Miss,
Ole Miss is going to be on
back-to-back
fire.
road games. Back-to-back road games with Arkansas and Texas A&M. You get the bye week. They
See,
got
that's what I'm
Alabama.
saying right there. That's what I'm saying. You got back-to-back road games at Arkansas and at A&M. I think Arkansas is just not going to be a very good team. I think but remember, Arkansas always gives LSU a run for their money. The week before they play Ole Miss, they're not going to lose to Ole Miss at Tiger Stadium. Last year, LSU had them beat. I don't know what happened. It was a shootout. LSU had one of the worst defenses in the SEC last year. I think that with their new defensive staff and they brought in some good transfers, I think that's going to be a different story. So their one loss is going to come from either at Arkansas or at A&M. I can't really see Ole Miss beating them. I think they take care of the Tide. You got to go at Florida later, but by
Hold
then,
on,
Florida.
back up. They take care of the Tide.
I'm
That's all
sorry,
you got
man.
to say. That's all
I,
you got to say. You're dealing with 3 Alabama fans right here, man.
I
Come
got
on.
I got Alabama at 10-2. What do you want?
He's not old enough to remember every time
Why?
we whipped their ass.
Why?
And
Why do they take care of the Tide? Please explain. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but you said that and started to move on like it was no question it was going to happen. I
help
got
him
to hear
out, Jonathan.
this.
Help him out, Jonathan.
I'm just going to say one thing. If LSU's defense isn't 20 times better, then,
We're
I
in
mean,
trouble.
all you have to do is go back to last year
Yeah.
with a Heisman Trophy winner. And if it's not 20 times better, that game's not. Yeah, it can be out of hand as in Alabama beats them by double digits.
They're gonna
Yeah.
have to have a defense. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a tough
I
game
know.
It's been
in Baton
terrible.
Rouge, but I mean, yeah, I
I
don't
know.
know. I mean, whatever.
I know. Recent history tells you that LSU doesn't do well with. Uh, Alabama has beaten LSU more times at Tiger Stadium than LSU has, but you got to respect Tiger Stadium. You got to respect LSU and what they've been able to build. And I feel like if LSU can't be a title contender year in and year out, then they need to get rid of their head coach. LSU is that title contender.
Oh,
I
no,
mean,
it's not happening, Mayhem. You dreaming now?
I see them 11-1. I mean the one loss that they're gonna have is either
Look,
Ole Miss, Arkansas, or
mayhem.
A&M.
I know drugs can be fun, but they're not good, bro. Like,
Well, yeah,
they're just not.
Ballard. Let's not
What?
forget. Let's not forget on my YouTube channel, I have a short of you saying last year that the Tigers were going to roll the Tide. So let's not forget
Last
that you
year?
was on
I'm talking about
last
this year. I'm
this
talking
year.
about this year.
You don't have Nick Saban.
See how they get Jonathan. See what I have to put up with.
So, and that's another thing is, look, Alabama's been winning national championships way before Nick Saban. So that argument holds no water either.
It don't.
Gene Stallings, Bear Bryant, I mean, all the way back, right? So to the beginning here, 1925. But I mean, once again, the defense at LSU, Brian Kelly, by the way, has never put together a good defense. I don't know if anybody's ever paid attention to Brian Kelly from Cincinnati all the way to now. He's never constructed a great defensive staff. If he can't do that at LSU, you make a great point, as in he will be gone. And I do think he'll be gone. And my videos when he first got hired were pertaining to that was a crazy hire, because when you're at LSU, you have some of the best defensive players out there. And if you can't develop them, that's a huge problem.
Yeah, he's right.
Well, I mean,
he's right. Yeah.
And hi to all y'all.
That's just my opinion.
Hey, Harry.
I know Ballard, and I'm familiar with Mayhem. I don't know the other two fellas, but yeah, I hope everything's going well for you. But man, dude, you've got to back off. I'm sorry. This look,
Georgia versus Georgia. Let's go.
Let's go.
Mayhem. Defensive line, who they got? No.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Secondary, who
Alabama
they
ain't
got?
either. Nobody.
Secondary, who they got? Nobody. I don't care if you are Nick Saban. If you got nobody to coach, you can't win in the SEC.
Well, they got the
LSU.
best linebacker in the country in Harold Perkins
Oh,
Jr.
what? That's crap.
What?
2 years ago, I would
Crap.
agreed with
Lost
it.
your
2 years
mind
ago, when he
now.
was a freshman, yes.
You got to understand
Yeah.
that defensive
He had one skill
that
set, and that's rushing the passer.
last
That's it.
year they did not
That was
play
proven.
Harold Perkins in the right spot most of the year. That's why their whole defensive staff pretty much got fired. They bring back the defensive guy that they rehired. I can't remember the dude's name, but he was at Florida in years, and I think he was recently at Florida as a defense coordinator. But they brought him back whenever, and he was whenever LSU had really
Grantham?
good defenses.
But it don't matter. They're not going to make miracles in a couple of months, son. That's the thing you're not understanding.
Well, all you
By
got.
the end of the year, they may be able to develop the guys that they got if they don't all get injured.
I don't remember. I don't
Yeah.
remember any in 2019. In 2019, I don't
What's that got
remember
to do with now?
anybody. I'm just trying to make comparisons. You said
That means
you
nothing.
can't build a team in just a couple of months.
Game has changed.
Yeah, I mean,
immensely.
are you going to say
Didn't have NIL
Nussmeier
then.
is Joe Burrow?
No,
I
he's
swear
I'm
if
not
he
gonna-
goes
I'm not-
there.
I'm
'Cause
not.
that's what
I'm
you're
not
gonna have
saying
to
that.
say.
I'm just. But no, I'm not saying that. But literally, the year before, Joe Burrow was dog doo doo, and then all of a sudden, he became the Heisman winner. He had one good year.
Joe Brady.
They
One.
Joe
low-
Brady. If you pay
Yeah.
attention to the QB staff, you would
Yes.
understand why.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think Blake isn't it Blake Baker? Didn't he go from
Yeah.
Missouri? Ain't he LSU's defensive man
Yeah.
now, Jonathan?
Yeah. Him and I can't remember if it's linebacker coach or the DL coach.
I can't remember the other one either.
There's two of them that went to LSU. And the
I do
dude's
agree.
getting-
Go ahead.
He's
Sorry.
getting $2.5 million a year. He's the highest paid DC
Yeah.
in the country. So he better shit some defense. I'm sorry.
I do agree with you, Mayhem. I think in the future they're going to look really good, but I think if you're talking about from now to this season, you're talking about a complete one of the biggest turnarounds in college football. That's what it would have to look like. And Brian Kelly, once again, you make the argument of, well, Nick Saban's on Alabama. Well, LSU's never had a defense coordinator or a defense that's even looked good under Brian Kelly. So why would this one be any different?
I mean, there's been many
Here's what I was
instances. There's been many instances where a football team went 3-9 and then they ended up going 10-2, 11-1. But we're not talking about a 3-9 team. LSU didn't they go? What was their record last year? Like
It was like
8-4.
Well, I was gonna
9-3?
bring that up.
Something like that.
Here's the thing, Mayhem.
8-4.
No, they went.
I mean, the turnaround's not that bad. Just a couple of games away, and they were in a lot of them games. Ole Miss, they should have won. That should have been 10-2 right there.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
They were
Mhm.
in a lot of those games.
Right there don't count.
That's right.
They lost one of the games that they lost was close, which was at Ole Miss, 55-49, 4-point game. Okay.
Great
Alabama
game.
beat them in Bryant-Denny 42-28, and Florida State beat the brakes off of them 45-24 in that week 1 kickoff game. But Mayhem, they went 10-3. That's counting a bowl win. They didn't even hit 10 wins in the regular season. They lose Jaden Daniels at quarterback, plus I think some receivers. Y'all can back me up on who else they're losing. They lose all these
And
guys to the
D-line.
NFL, and they're but they're supposed to be better this year. And watch out for the Tigers. Like, dude, I'm not saying they're going to go 7-5, but I think they'd stay the same this year.
It's a
Honestly,
scary game. It's a scary game. It's a scary game. I've got it marked on my calendar. Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, and Auburn. We've got 4 scary games this year. Alabama's got to overcome somehow. I mean, really, people say you want to mention Auburn. Well, Auburn
Hugh Freeze.
Auburn pulls
Well,
the gloves off every time they play us at Jordan Hare or Bryant Denny. So, I mean,
yeah.
Alabama owes them a butt whooping. They owe them a good butt whooping, but I don't know. There's 4 scary games to me, and
Yeah, but
I'll
that's at the
still
end of
let
the
let
year.
y'all have it. To
I
me,
mean,
Um,
all I'm saying is, I'll say this, and I'll get off of my LSU hype train. But um, I think
I like it.
that Nussmeier is literally a better passer of the ball than Jaden Daniels.
yes,
Jaden
yes,
Daniels,
yes, sir.
oh,
He
I
is.
all
wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah.
all Jaden Daniels was able to do is run the ball whenever he got pressure. That's exactly how Bama beat him. Is all you got to do is contain Jaden Daniels, and you win the game 100% of the time. Because I think their defense is going to improve. You can't get no more worse than that. That is LSU's worst
Yeah,
defense
you
in
can.
probably 50 years,
You
Not
sir.
can.
2019
110
was
against
their worst
134.
defense.
Yeah, they could be
Yeah.
worse.
Joe Burrow's year was their worst defense, like
Yeah, that
Jonathan
was
said.
easily
Yeah.
2019 was their worst defense, but they had Joe Burrow. That's why I said you would have to call him Joe Burrow. That's the only reason I say that. But I love the debate though. Like I do like the fact that somebody's taking up for LSU because not many people have been taking up for them.
I mean,
Let's
I
do it.
have I
Yeah, do
have
it.
Georgia LSU in the SEC championship facing
Oh,
off
okay. The
rematch.
big one. I
And I
cannot have
mean,
the
No.
big one.
and not only that, but it just got pointed out too. The Gamecock beat me to it. Not only that, not only do you lose Jaden Daniels, but you lose Malik Neighbors. In my opinion, was one of the top wide
I tell you
receivers
what, that dude was
in college.
fantastic.
And you
Like,
also lose Brian Thomas Jr.,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think, pretty sure.
I
yeah.
just
You
don't.
know, he got drafted as well. So like, you're
Sure.
losing a lot. So I mean,
And
once
here's
again,
the thing: even if they have the talent to replace it, the inexperience speaks for itself.
I was going to ask
Yes.
one question. Where did they rank this year in recruiting? I didn't keep up with them. Where's LSU at top? Are they in the top 10 or out of
are
the
we?
top 10?
At
Like,
least top 20, I think. At least top 20, right?
are you talking
Oh,
the
easily.
2025 class?
Yeah,
Or
2025
2020.
class. Well, how they doing
Yeah,
in
Uh,
the
they're
2025 class?
they're
top
fourth
10.
right now.
Yeah.
That's
Fourth.
what. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
They're that high? Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
Brian
top
Kelly
5.
does a good job recruiting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
but you got to develop the players, and
and yeah,
they're kid.
exactly.
You know,
I
you
mean, he
can't expect
consistent.
freshmen to go up against 22 and sometimes 25-year-old men.
I mean, I think Brian Kelly. I mean, it's pretty much if you don't believe Brian Kelly's going to win the national championship at LSU, you're crazy. It might not.
That's not what we're saying. That's not
But
what we're saying.
Brian Kelly consistently won Notre Dame 10, 11 wins every single year. He's consistently doing that at LSU. Yes, even with the bowl win, still 10 games. And I think he's going to have another good season. I think at worst 10-2, but I see 11-1.
I
So
can
I
see
got
the 10, I can see the 10-2, but I just can't. I can't see the 11-1. I mean, it's not. I just because I dislike them. Now I'm an Alabama fan. I just can't see it. I don't know.
I
I
think
mean,
And
I
there's
think the schedule is
three.
just too hard
I mean,
for
what's the
everybody.
hard? What's hard?
For everybody in the SEC is what I'm talking about. The
The
cannibalizing. I
fact,
think the fact that like Alabama, you'll have to play Georgia, and then yeah, you may look at Arkansas or a team like that and downplay it. But when you're beat up, like you're coming off those
there
games, those are
you
not
go.
easy games to win. Like as much as
Very
we
fair.
think it is. Like, oh, it's
they
just
have to
Arkansas.
play both California schools in the Big Ten and USC and UCLA. You can say whatever you want to about that. And one of them's in Vegas to kick off the season. And yeah, UCLA's at home. And you can say whatever you want to about, well, these teams are going to be lesser opponents in terms of compared to LSU. Look, I don't care, man. Power four is power four. And they, like, here's the thing. Yeah, those teams might not be used to the SEC. Is LSU used to them either? I'm not
I
saying they're going to
can.
lose those games, but
That's right.
come on.
I can remember a long time ago when USC and UCLA was hard to beat, my friend.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Both
Yes,
of
they
them.
were.
Yep.
And that was when I was a young man. When Coach Bryant was there, they were hard to beat.
I mean, I mean, I understand that they used to be a really good team, but UCLA just lost their head coach, and he took an offensive coordinator job instead of being a head
Okay.
coach there. Also lost a quarterback to be a backup quarterback at Oregon. Something's going on at UCLA. Don't know what it is, but if you have a starting quarterback that's going off to be a backup quarterback for Oregon, I mean, and you have a head coach that's taking a lesser job as offense coordinator at Ohio State, There's something wrong with that. I'm not really a believer in UCLA, and USC needs to, as much as y'all want to clown on LSU's defense and stuff like that. USC really needs to find a defense for real, or that
Agreed.
game could get ugly.
No, I agree 100%. I think USC's overhyped this
Sure.
year, period.
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
sure.
yeah, because Alex Grinch was one of probably the biggest disappointments in college football as far as defense coordinators in a long time.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's easy. I think the issue with me for LSU is going to be people are going to be overlooking Ole Miss, even for some reason. They got Jackson Dart, and the offense is going to be completely loaded. So you got Ole Miss at home, at Arkansas, at Kyle Field against A&M, and then you take on Alabama, and then at Florida in the swamp against Graham Mertz, and then Vanderbilt, and then you take on Oklahoma, and you can't overlook Jackson Arnold in that offense. So they're facing a lot of offense with a very uncertain defense.
But is Jackson Arnold going to live up to the hype? I mean, is he going to be a good? I mean, is he going to be able to replace Dylan Gabriel? I think Dylan Gabriel. I mean, I haven't really seen the dude play a snap yet. I mean, I'm not really familiar with Jackson Arnold, but I mean, I think Dylan Gabriel probably is the better quarterback. I mean, I don't know that. I could be totally wrong. I'm just speaking out of my butt, but still, like, I think they took a big hit on the quarterback position at Oklahoma. And as far as, I mean, if I'm all right, you go at Arkansas, at A&M, and you get Ole Miss at home. You beat Ole Miss and you lose either at Arkansas or at A&M. That's what I said once. And then by the time you get to Florida, Florida's gonna be so far in the tank. They might have fired their head coach already down at that point, and Florida's gonna be giving up by that time. I think you smoked them on the last train coming. So 11-1 seems possible to me.
Well,
Like I said,
we'll
if I
see.
didn't have
That's what
such a
makes
big
it
question.
exciting, isn't it? You know,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
we're all
Yeah.
partisans of somebody. And
So
want to see
I'm
'em do good.
assuming you didn't watch Oklahoma's bowl game last year because Jackson Arnold started in that one, and Dylan Gabriel
did.
didn't leave to Oregon. Dylan Gabriel actually was told he's going to be replaced by a 5-star quarterback named Jackson Arnold. That's actually how that went down.
How many
So
interceptions did he throw?
yeah, it's a true freshman. Your first starts in a bowl game. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
absolutely.
They threw him to the
Yeah.
wolves, man.
Yeah,
It's a
and I
wonder if
think
he's
that
not
helps
got
him.
Scars.
I think it helps him because once again, if you face that right away, you're going to come into this because he won the Elite 11 camp. Like when you're talking about Nico, Jackson Arnold, right? So all these cats, the USC quarterback, these guys were in a class of their own, right?
Yeah.
So in Jackson Arnold, if you go by composite scores, he's the top quarterback of that class, better than Tennessee's Nico.
This is a question. Don't think about this, guys. Is this the year of the offense, or is this going to be the year that the defense comes back for all the teams? What do y'all think, offense or defense? What do you think is going to be the strongest?
Oh, that's a really good question because you had a lot of quarterbacks get drafted, and not to say that they can't be replaced or anything, but I guess it depends on what teams you look at. Like I have settled, for example, on USC never having a defense as long as Lincoln Riley is there, and I don't care where he goes to coach, he will never learn defense. I think that's fair to say. But you look at Georgia, you look at I think Texas could have improved defense a little bit. I think Ohio State's going to be pretty good.
Texas ought to be
Michigan, I think,
good.
is always going to be there. I don't know.
Michigan's
I think we
like
just have to
everybody.
wait and see.
Texas ought to be good. They got a quarterback. He's 30 years old.
Yeah, he's rich
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
If he
But
don't show
I got a
out,
question.
if he don't show out this year, Quentin Ewers, I mean, a lot of people saying he could win the Heisman Trophy this year. Now I don't know. I mean, I don't know what y'all's opinion is. Y'all tell me what's y'all opinion. Y'all think he's going to be that good, or
If
is
he
it?
wasn't made of porcelain,
I
he
mean,
might be good.
that's what I was just about to say. I mean, not that same word, but I mean, he's injury prone, and my biggest question is Arch Manning, if because we seen last year, well, what was that guy's name that not Arch Manning, but he was the backup quarterback for Texas last year.
Yeah, he transferred out.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but
Malik
he
something, right?
yeah,
Cunningham or something like that. Yeah.
Was it
but
Murphy?
Malik
there we
Murphy, yeah.
Yeah.
He ended up because Quinn Ewers got hurt, and he ended up having to face, I believe it was Houston, if I'm not mistaken, and Houston almost beat him, and probably should have beat Texas. And I mean, that's the big question for Texas: is can Quinn Ewers stay healthy all year, and can they not drop a game if they do? If they do have Quinn Ewers hurt, I hope he stay. I hope everybody stays healthy. I want to see some really good football play out this year, but um, like that's going to be the biggest question mark for me whenever I'm thinking of Texas. And another big question mark I have um, is I'm not real. Yes, I know they made the college football playoff. I understand that, but it seems like uh, they always lose that one game that they should not. They should have never lost to Oklahoma last year. I know it's a rivalry game. I know how important that is to both teams, and I know both teams come to play. I get it. I understand that, but it just seems like, I mean, always loses
I
that
didn't even know
one.
that.
Always loses that one game that they shouldn't have, and that's why, like, I don't know if I'm ready to, you know. And do y'all really think Texas is going to go 8-0 in the conference in their very first year? I mean, really?
No,
No.
no,
No.
no,
Alabama's not going to do that, and Georgia, LSU,
No.
none of them are.
no. Nobody's going unscathed
Yeah,
this
I
I
don't
don't
think
year.
think
anybody
Sorry,
goes.
the schedules are too tough. And look,
Because
most of them get hurt.
outside of Georgia, who do they have on their schedule that's losable? I mean, other than Oklahoma, that's a losable
A&M.
game, but and A&M. So I mean, you got a couple, but outside of 3 games, I mean, if everybody's saying Texas is going to beat Georgia, so if that's a for sure win for everybody, because that's what people are saying, it's a for sure win.
That's it.
Texas beating Georgia, and so outside that, then who are they losing to? And Oklahoma, are they going to be able to win 2 in a row? I mean, is Texas going to allow that to happen? I don't know. There's too many questions for Texas. I have them pegged at 10-2. I don't really. I can't really give them much more than 10-2. I mean, they might end up going undefeated, but I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't see
I
it
think
at
it's I
all.
think it's I think it's yours and Milroe's year, or either which. I think the best quarterback wins the Heisman Trophy. I go out on that limb, so I guess I'll get laughed at, but I don't
No,
So
know.
best
so
man will get it. I guess.
Carson Beck's not even in that conversation.
I didn't say Beck wasn't in the conversation. He'd be number 3 if I was
Best
going to pick
quarterback will
somebody.
win it. That's what
What
he
I was
said.
fixing to say, I'm not saying Milroe. I think yours would be ahead of Milroe if you're putting them 1, 2, 3. Where would you put them at, Jonathan?
I would put Ewers one because of the experience. If I knew he could stay healthy, right? So that's always the big question. I think the development from Steve Sarkisian and that staff is going to be there, and they gained a lot in the transfer portal, including the biggest piece, in my opinion, Isaiah Bond leaving Alabama to there. So because of that, and he has so many freaking weapons, and it would be easier too if I knew C.J. Baxter, their starting running back, didn't get hurt, right? So. Because he's out for the season now. I would go Ewers 1, Milroe 2, just because of how diverse he is, the running, the throwing, and he got better each week last year. And then, I would easily put Carson Beck 3. I think Carson Beck and Milroe are like right there neck and neck. If Beck stays consistent all year and did what Stetson Bennett did, like where he just does his job and kills it, I think he'll be there definitely in the top 3 by the end of the year.
But I totally lost where I was going here. But I think Texas is going to be a really good team. But as far as the injuries go and stuff like that, that I know what I was going to say. Didn't they get either a wide receiver or tight end, last name Black. No, Night Black. Night. Yeah, Night Black.
Night Black.
And then they also got
he's gonna be
Isaiah
really
Todd.
good.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna Night Black's gonna be really good too.
Probably so.
And the Gamecock brought up a good point too, because you asked me out of those three. So Dart. So if you add in Dart, I push Dart to 1. So
okay, what about
you brought up
Brady
Dart.
Cook?
Now I'll be honest with you. I need to, as far as what I've seen of the eyes, I've seen Dart once again, and I'm looking at who's progressing them. Right, Lane Kiffin. What does he do with quarterbacks? Each year they just continuously get better. Steve Sarkisian each year. I don't know enough about Eli, and can he do that with that? Maybe he can. But
Lord.
From what I'm looking at, I'd go with I'd have to say Dart would be my number 1.
Jesus.
But
I mean, I don't know. I mean, how long? How this is Dart's 4th year at Ole Miss, or is he working
this is
on
his
his
last
5th
year because I'm tired of this dude.
Yeah, this must. Yeah, I agree with you, Jonathan. He's another one of them guys that's 30 years old. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, you're right.
And he kills it every year. He does. He puts up numbers every freaking year. And it's irritating.
Yeah,
But Dart is daring, and that gets him hurt.
Yeah.
If he gets hurt, Ole Miss in trouble.
Yeah. Dart's like his coach. He's like Lane Kiffin. He takes chances and he's just bold.
If you're gonna be Mississippi Riverboat Gamblers instead of the what do they call themselves now? That's stupid. Some black bears or some shit.
I don't know.
Anyway, no. If he gets nicked up against a good team, Ole Miss is gonna go down and lose one they shouldn't. And they got a cupcake schedule. I mean, for them and Missouri and Texas, they really and truly got the easiest schedules, I think.
Yeah. Did you guys see, was it Arkansas schedule where they have like 5 top 25 games in a row? So somebody has like a ridiculous schedule. I couldn't even believe it.
Wow.
I need to go look because I saw it the other day. I think it's Arkansas though.
I think it is. Look it up and see if it is. I think it's Arkansas.
I'll look at it.
Start with us.
Let me see.
Us, Texas.
So no, it's not Arkansas.
LSU.
No, it's not Arkansas. I got to find out who it was.
It was in the SEC.
Yeah, it was definitely in the SEC. I just
was it like Mississippi State or someone?
I honestly can't remember.
Mississippi
State's got a rough.
Yeah. They got crap.
Missouri. They say Missouri has the toughest schedule. Missouri is number 1.
Really?
Crap.
That's what they got.
I do not.
No way.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right now.
By who? Who's the who?
Let's see. This is College Sports Wire. I'm sure I've heard of it.
Oh my God.
Missouri.
That's some dude in the basement somewhere, right?
Ole Miss is number 2 now. Don't start laughing yet. Let me do the top 5 and I'll shut up.
I am gonna laugh.
Tennessee's next, number 3.
Oh shit.
Auburn's number 4, which I would have put Auburn number 1. Their schedule is not easy. Look at Auburn's schedule. LSU's number 5. So y'all can argue about that. There it is.
All right. The power rankings as they were released on August 1st. Your hardest schedule in the SEC is Florida's.
It could be.
Of course.
Sure. I agree with that.
Third, and this is nationally, there are 5 SEC teams in the top 10. If I remember right, might be 6. I mean, yeah, we got some hard-ass schedules in the conference. But in terms of top to bottom, it was Florida, Georgia, and I want to say South Carolina. And
do you want
Vanderbilt?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Because Vanderbilt's got no hope.
The back end of Florida's schedule. Listen to this:
Stupid.
At Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, at Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, at Florida State. Billy Napier has no chance.
That's like right in the world, isn't it?
They might as well just fire him tonight.
No,
they should give him a pass.
They should. I mean,
give him a pass. Y'all want to listen to On 3's top 5? I got On 3's top 5. On 3's top 5 is Florida's number 1 with the hardest schedule.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mississippi State is number 2.
I have to look it
Georgia
up.
is number 3. Kentucky is number 4, and I'll shut up here with number 5 is Auburn.
Georgia number 3. I could say getting rid of the divisions. It does make sense because you look at going to Kroger Field, going to Bryant Denny to play Alabama. Auburn, I think, is going to be much improved. But I mean, look, they got to
No,
play. They got to
at
play Kentucky, Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss on the road. All 4 of those games.
That's
There is no chance they win all 4. I got them. I could see them 11-1. I think honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped 2 games. And if I had to pick 2, honestly, I know I'm an Alabama fan, but I think with the new coach, Alabama's going to struggle a little bit against Georgia. So give me the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe Texas and Ole Miss on the road. You drop those 2 games, they're still getting in the playoffs no matter what they do. But
But I
I
got
mean,
that's a good question. I got a good question to ask. Um, so is it possible that I mean last year if the 12-team playoff was played, then a 10-2 Oklahoma would have got left out. But this year, is it a foregone conclusion that a 10-2 team gets in? I mean, there's a lot
yeah,
of teams that could potentially go 10-2 this year, if I'm being honest. I mean, you got teams like Alabama, Georgia, Texas. You got
half SEC.
LSU. Yeah, half of them are half of them are SEC, and that's not even talking about the That's not even talking about Ohio State, Michigan. Not even talking about Penn State potentially. Um,
Iowa.
I
Don't
mean,
leave
yeah,
Iowa out.
Iowa.
They
Um,
got they got the Stay Puft Marshmallow schedule.
And then
Oh my God.
that's not even talking about the guaranteed group of 5 that's getting in there. And that ain't even talking about the Big 12 in Utah. I think Utah's almost a foregone conclusion that they're going to win the Big 12 this year. The ACC, that's up to pretty much Clemson and Florida State, in my opinion. North Carolina might make some noise. I don't know yet, but
No,
they lose their quarterback. I don't know, but I mean, yeah, they. I mean, is it a foregone conclusion 10-2's in?
Yeah, easy.
I mean,
not
so you
all
have
of them.
not all of them because you get
all
4
right. You got
conference
4
champions.
spots. Look at it rationally. You have 4 spots guaranteed. 5 spots guaranteed. You've
Yep.
got the Power 4 and the Group of 5, whoever that is. So you got 7 spots left. Well, they're going to go by your ranking at the end of the season. So to start with, you're 10-2. Who'd you play? Who'd you beat? Who'd you lose
Uh-huh.
to? So it's gonna, any tiebreaker situation is gonna boil down to that. So the harder the schedule, the better your odds. So we don't know how it's gonna play out, but it's gonna be exciting, isn't it?
A lot of hate and discontent at what they'll be at the end of the year, like there always is, no matter how they do it.
Don't be
Heck yeah,
surprised if Miami squeaks in with
controversy
their cupcake
sells.
schedule.
But I don't see the SEC getting more than 3 teams. I don't see. I think maybe SEC can get 3 teams. Big Ten can
That's
get
what I
3
thought.
teams. Big 12 2 teams. ACC 2 teams. 3 6, and then that's 7 8 9 10, and then the other 2 is the one big the one group of 5, and then I guess at large. I really don't see SEC and Big Ten getting more than 3, but there is a potentially a way that the SEC can have more than just 3 teams go 10-2.
Yeah, there's definitely a way. I just don't think they're going to allow it to happen. And don't discount the independences. I hate that. Notre
But
Dame
yeah,
or
what is that?
Yeah,
What is
see
that?
that. Let's
Does
see when
I
when's
actually
that?
wrote up. I actually wrote up an article the other day, and I think I had brought it up on a video or a live stream, or no, I was talking to Rooster about it, but I got to get everyone else's thoughts. Does Notre Dame, because the narrative has always been since the 14 playoff that if they go undefeated, they're automatically in because they don't play a conference or anything like that. What if they go 11-1? They play all these Power 5, Power 4 schools, right? They drop one game. Are you going to penalize Notre Dame because they're not undefeated and they're not in a conference?
I don't
That's a
think you
good
can.
question to ask.
Yes, you need to.
You
If
need
Notre
to?
Dame
Yeah.
goes undefeated,
They're not
no,
going to
they
though.
will not be excluded. If Notre Dame goes 11-1, they'll be in the discussion.
Yeah,
They go
absolutely.
10-2, they're out.
They play a pretty tough schedule this year, though.
Really?
Like
You
they
think?
go to Texas A&M. Just to name some teams, they go to Purdue. They play Louisville. Georgia Tech on the road, Navy always. I mean, that's just a traditional game, really. But at USC at the end of the year, they do play Florida State November 9th at home in South Bend. So, I mean, you can make a case that they could have some quality wins if they're able to pull some of those off. Louisville, I mentioned, like these they gotta hope that they pull off some upsets or some big time wins against some of those teams. But what you also have to hope for after you beat a team like Louisville, and by the time you play Florida State late in the year and stuff like that, and Georgia Tech, you gotta hope that these teams have good seasons. Otherwise, your resume is going to look terrible.
Another
Exactly.
thing you want to remember too, and I know this has nothing to do with football, but Notre Dame gets paid $22 million a year through CBS for their viewership. They have one of the biggest viewerships out there, so they're going to probably take that into consideration too.
Yeah,
As
them
much
in
as
Ohio State.
it,
Yeah.
so like
And
I
it's
know
home.
CBS or
it's
NBC?
or NBC. It's I think it is. Let me look it up.
Yeah,
Here.
yeah.
NBC.
I know it's
It
one
is
of
NBC because they're also because they had some Peacock games last year, and they always have their big games like Clemson and Ohio State. Those in recent years when they're played in South Bend have been on NBC. I think that's their network.
Lord, they've been coming on NBC for 20 plus years.
Yeah,
More than that. More than that.
That's why I don't think they'll ever go to a conference. It's because how much they make through their merchandising, and it's all private. They don't have to release any information.
yeah.
It's an unlimited money funnel. So
What do
Yeah,
you? How do
well,
y'all feel about SEC not being on CBS anymore?
go miss the music.
Oh, well.
yeah,
Grew up with the
I
music.
love that theme song.
I know. I know Alabama fans are going to be really excited not to hear Gary.
Ain't gonna
Gary
miss the
Danielson.
front.
Yeah. Oh man.
Danielson, somebody else can listen to him for 20 plus years. I'm tired of hearing it.
The Big
Yeah,
Ten,
I
the
agree.
Big Ten's got to put up with it.
Good. Let them have. They can have him.
Yeah, Big
Big
Noon
Ten's
or
on
whatever it
CBS
is.
now.
Nice spot. That's Big Noon. That's the reason we got so many good games at noon is because they're wanting to. ESPN wants to fight with Fox in that time slot.
But thank you, Ballard. I'm gonna thank you, Ballard, for letting me come on here. I'm gonna
Yeah.
jump off.
All
All
right,
right, thanks, man.
Matthew, you take care.
All right, y'all take care.
You too, man.
Be good.
LSU. I don't know. I agree with it's. It's a scary game. I've got it marked on the schedule. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. That's several games down the roster. I guess. I don't know.
All right, where does LSU fall on your schedule?
For Alabama,
It's
Yes,
later in the
I
season.
can't
it's
think.
always
I'm
the
on the
first
call side.
Saturday in November.
Yeah.
First Saturday in November after the bye week.
Oh, y'all be dialed in by then, so
Yeah, we got a
you
bye
should
week.
feel a lot better about it.
Thing is, we're
I mean,
coming
you don't know
off.
what you
We're
got.
coming off. Yeah, be
So
coming
you
off
don't
our
know what you
homecoming game
know.
against Missouri.
Missouri's going to be. I don't think defense. They lost a lot of guys to the draft and everything else on defense. I think they're going to take a step back, regardless of the fact that the DC and another coach left. But that offense, you better watch out.
Yeah,
They got receivers and Cook. I don't know who was denigrating him, but the dude can put the ball where he needs to put it. You got to put the pressure on him, and they got a decent offensive line. So I think they're still a quality team. I just am not sold on them being an elite. You know.
Yeah, it's hard to think about Missouri past that because I remember when they got to the SEC, everybody was mocking them, and they won the East the first 2 years they were there.
Yeah, I mean those were
Yeah.
good teams too.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, even
Just
after LSU, even after LSU, Alabama's got Mercer. They've got Oklahoma and Auburn. Damn, I mean Mercer. Yeah, that's a pushover. To Oklahoma and Auburn. Those two games are not pushover games.
no, they aren't. But see,
Yeah.
that's the wear and tear and the grind that everybody
Yep.
outside of the SEC doesn't get. You're gonna get the best shot every damn week, and
Yeah.
uh, guys, if you don't have the depth, I mean, let's face it, we know what that means. We watch it in high school, and then they move to college. It's just intensified in college, and they dial it up another notch in the pros, or they used to. Excuse me. Now they play football. But yeah,
Y'all think they'll cut the roster down and like the boys was saying, at the SEC media days, you cut it down to what 85, and you get somebody hurt. I mean, what do y'all think about that? What do y'all think they're gonna do about that?
105 is the number that was mentioned.
Yeah,
The
it's gonna
scholarship.
be 10. It's gonna be 105 unlimited scholarships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So no excuses.
it kind of feels like if they cut it down to 85 or 86. I mean, you're just telling the walk-ons that's not happening anymore. You might as well forget it.
I'll be honest with you, places like Alabama and Georgia, it's done anyways. The
Oh
moment they
yeah.
said 105 and you can be given 105 scholarships, it's over for them, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Hell yeah, we're gonna stack the damn roster.
Yeah, they're going to be going deep. And with these NILs coming in, these collectives getting bigger and bigger, these kids can just sit for a couple of years and make 2-3 million a year on the bench.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about that kind of money, but they'll make
But
it.
I'm talking about down the road because sponsorship, NIL, their own personal brands, stuff like
That's
that.
only if the economy turns around.
Yeah.
So we got to pray for a good economy for this all to work, and that's my biggest worry right now. Uh, we teeter on the brink of a global economic collapse, and the general public's unaware of this. And
When
you
when
know,
dumb guy
it's all about the money.
when dumb guys like other people pay 20, 30,000 dollars for season tickets, and you got to fight your way in and out them booths up there where we sit at. I mean, I love what you said about I just don't. Where are they getting the damn money at then if they're that broke? Where's the money coming from? How can everybody be that broke? And then when you go to a football
Corporation.
game, you got to fist fight your way in there, and people are paying 30, 40,000 dollars for the Ivory Club or the
Yeah.
the Red Elephant Club, and I mean, it's just I'm not trying to get into politics. I just look at it different. Maybe I'm seeing it different. I don't know. It's a lot of money, man. There's a lot of people paying that.
Well, I'm not talking about
Yeah.
politics. I'm talking about economics. Uh, and the fact of the matter is, things are not good. And as we see, like Paramount this week, what was that loss? $9.1 billion.
They'll gain it back.
9.1 billion. Okay. Uh, CNN is almost assured to fold. Uh, uh, all your media is taking a hit from streaming and from people being independent on their time use. So when they took the cable money out of the whole equation of TV, that was guaranteed income. Whether you watched it or not, they got paid. You see what I'm saying? So you lose 10 million people paying 100 and something bucks a month out of your pocketbook. It's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
And that's what's
YouTube's.
happened. And now the chickens have come home to roost. It just took a few years for this to trickle down. Everybody makes fun of that, but I don't know, God. I understand all this stuff pretty good. So Anyway,
Oh God,
all
did
this
you
has
say
trickled
trickle?
down.
Did you say trickle down economics? You scared me. I remember Ronald Reagan.
Well, I remember JFK, so
I do too. That's a problem.
and Eisenhower. So I might be a little older than you, but not much. But we chewed the same dirt, brother.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm not bashing you. I just, I mean, I hear a
but
lot
I'll
of
worry
people
about the
talk about it.
money. Look at this. Look at this money that they have pledged in these contracts. ESPN has pledged $8 million or so to the SEC, and I don't know how many billions they pledged to the ACC, and all the networks are doing the same damn thing, uh, and in their own way. But there's a ton of money out there that's pledged. Well, what happens if we see a continuation of what we're seeing right now, and prices continue to go up, and there's nothing backing it?
And
Nothing.
Bryant Denny will continue to be packed out.
Yeah, it will be, but who's gonna? They'll be spending it back to the university as opposed to giving it to the networks. See what I'm saying? In a very minute way, that is what you're going to start to see if the economy doesn't turn around. Because networks can't survive without advertising money, and there's none out there.
It's a mess.
Really.
It's always a mess. It's going to get worse and worse. I mean, I don't even like to think about it anymore. I don't even, it makes me
You know,
not even want to go
college
vote for either one of them.
college football is our escape, but we want it to prosper and thrive and be the best it can be, and we're all fans, and we don't want nothing messing with it. Everybody in my family leaves the house if they're over here when the game starts. That's the way I am. So, and I'm not. I would imagine all the same, but if they can't pay all these monies that's fixing to come due, what the school's going to do? They have this big lawsuit. All the schools are supposed to give up 20 million each. Well, what if the money's not there? Nobody talks about that. I got a
Yeah.
house and a family. Y'all got houses and families. I got to know where the money's coming from to pay the bills.
Which
It's no
which,
different. It's a life thing.
which you could see is what happened to golf and live. The Saudis see an opportunity to buy something,
Mm-hmm. They got it to do it too.
and it worked.
And if you have a golden parachute drop in your lap, all the better.
Yeah.
I'll be happy. I don't have
Yeah.
to worry about my university like some of these small schools do, but and y'all are the same. So you know, we'll sally on regardless of what happens. But it is concerning, and I'm curious to see what happens with Disney because they bought ESPN, and Disney is bleeding right now. They have been bleeding for a couple of years,
Yeah.
and uh, they're already talking about selling ABC off. If ESPN gets sold off, who do you think will buy them with the commitments that they have?
There'll be some big wig individual step in like they wanted to do in the past one time, like it was when, there were several people, wanted to step in and buy those
Right.
networks, and
We hope.
the other people wouldn't allow them to do it, which Bill Cosby was one of those guys, whether you like him or whether you don't. I mean, that he fell into that category of wanting to do that, and they didn't want him. I don't think they wanted him in that position. So I mean, I don't know what happened there. But there'll be somebody come along and do it. Look what Musk done with Twitter. He just walked in there, and who did he write the check to? Is what I want to know. Who did the check? Who did he write to himself?
Oh, he didn't have to write a check at all. He just used the damn capital he has on everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He just
He
said, "I
bought
want it."
the stock.
Exactly.
He bought the
Exactly.
stock.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
have all that equity, then you don't need that money up front.
No.
Right.
And I think that's
I think somebody will step in because something like that could happen. Anything can happen, but I mean, I hope it don't get that bad. I
There are
really
too many
think
people that love college
Apple.
football that will not step in. I guarantee it.
I
Because
think
it's going to have to be rescued. It needs a new organization to run it. NCAA is absolute garbage. Let's face it, as far as college football is concerned, and they don't even have really a say in it except for the rules.
not
That's
anymore.
it. They get no money. So, uh, screw 'em. Let's get everybody together and say, all right, we're going to take coaches and ADs, and we're going to make a new organization, and everybody will pay X just to compensate them for their time. Because all they're going to do is administrate. And y'all are going to do the same thing you did on NCAA. You're going to self-report. When you screw up, you screw up. But let's throw out the rule book, get a clean sheet of paper, and make it easy. Simple, simple, simple. And
Yeah.
that way we have a clean game and everybody can enjoy it and not sweat all this crap. Make the damn referees professionals for once, okay?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Oh my Lord.
they can't keep. I
That's my
agree with.
biggest,
I agree with that. They need to go buy them some referees because he sure don't know how to call no
for the
games. I tell you
love of
that.
Pete. That's the biggest complaint I got about college football is refereeing, and then some of these rule changes are a little annoying. I might have just to get used to it, but I'm old school, so yeah.
Yeah, the NFL refs, they're about the same. They're no better than the college refs. What do you think, Jonathan?
Yeah, and dude, it seems the refs are going to be a problem. I think in almost any circumstance, but you definitely need to make them. You need to make them at least want to do it. Make them a professional. Like make it a profession at least. Like pay these guys because when you see how much they get paid in college, like they're not
It's
going to care.
disgusting.
Yeah, they
No,
don't care.
it's for the love of the game is why they do
Yep.
it. But you need a, a homogenized in-house deal for college football to placate all the concerns in some way, and it can be done. Hey, we're 300 million people. I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah. How many people play football? Lots. How many parents and how many coaches are there out here and whatnot? Yeah, this can be done. Just take somebody that's got the organizational skills and the clout to do it.
I know Apple. I tracked them a lot. Apple's been trying to get into college football for about 2.5, 3 years now. I have a feeling they could be the next big one to enter the space.
I hadn't saw that. Have they really? Have they been wanting to get in their foot in the door, Jonathan? Sure enough,
Yeah.
I never. I didn't
They
know.
were competing with Amazon for Thursday night NFL, right? So the Thursday night
Right.
games,
Sure
and
were.
Apple said they backed off and said we'd prefer the larger viewership, so which is college. When they
Yeah.
couldn't beat out Amazon, they just said they're going to go after college when they have the opportunity.
So Bezos kept NFL, and somebody else is going to get college.
Well, I mean, he only has the Thursday night games, but we know what
Right.
that's going to do. That's going to bleed into other nights too. Eventually, it's going to bleed in, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
only a matter of time.
Yeah. You're right.
These guys, when they get their foot in the door, they don't come out of it.
No, because
Not if they see
now,
profit. Not if they see profit, they won't.
Exactly.
I mean, you buy these companies for billions and billions of dollars, and you scratch your head and you're saying, "How's these guys going to make a profit?" Well, sit back and watch.
Yeah, and then they paid. They how much did they pay? Oh my gosh, they brought over somebody from college as an announcer to do the Thursday night NFL games. Amazon did, and they gave him like a $25 million contract. So like, yeah, they're giving these guys humongous contracts. Amazon is. So,
Yeah.
but what do you think it's going to do? Everybody that's announcing this, not Amazon, where do you think they're going to go?
Exactly.
So, and
I'll subscribe to them. So.
yeah, let me look it up, see how much that was and who they brought over. I don't think it's Danny Cannell, but I can't remember exactly who it was.
It might have been him, Jonathan. He does that on Thursday. I never got into. I watched a few of them this past season, but I never got in. I didn't like it. I don't know. It just didn't feel right watching it on Amazon.
Yeah, it's really strange.
I mean, I don't
I only
know.
watched one.
I didn't watch many myself.
So Al Michaels just signed a 3-year, $45 million contract a year and a half
What?
ago.
Wow.
Wow.
He's 80 years old.
Hang on, we're not done yet though. Like their
Well,
other one they
so then
got
I am.
is larger. Uh,
Yeah, I remember Al Michaels talking. They asked him if he was going to retire, and he said, he wasn't. So I guess he knew that big check was on the way. I guess.
no, I wouldn't be retiring either if somebody gave me that.
Hell no.
No, I wouldn't. No,
Pay
no,
me
no.
to travel. Put me in the hotel room. Pay me to,
Well, they
pay
pay.
my meals.
I think
You
they
know he's
pay
getting
for.
carte blanche.
Kirk
Well,
Herbstreit.
there it is.
Let's
Yeah, I
see,
see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's got 19 kids, so he's got to have money.
How
See
many
much
kids?
it is.
He got that many kids? How many kids he got? 4 or 5 kids, I think, don't he? 3, 4, 5,
6,
6.
if I remember
Okay.
right.
And they're all at Clemson.
They're all
Yeah.
at Clemson. That's. I
Yep.
mean,
Something like that.
I was gonna say something a while ago. Dabo was a. He was a rags to riches. Success story, and I love those kind of success stories. But Clemson, it's Clemson's time again. If he don't do something this year, I mean, I guess that job up there is. I guess they'll never get rid of him. I don't guess.
No,
Probably not.
but it's not impossible to get him on a hot seat if he continues on a downward spiral.
Right.
It would have to be bad
I
though,
think,
like a bad
yeah.
season.
And if he gets really bad to the point where you have to fire him and Clemson doesn't pull the trigger, there's something seriously wrong in that program.
Yeah, I don't see him
Um,
leaving anytime soon.
They're a strange
I don't
bunch.
either. I don't either.
The Clemson people are. My daughter was engaged to a Clemson grad, and so I had
Poor
interaction.
thing.
Say poor thing.
Yeah, poor thing.
Very
Sorry.
bright guy.
What killed me
Yeah.
is
They they
Alabama.
don't think like the rest of us, folks. That's
No,
all I'll say about it. Okay.
Alabama blew by him. I thought he would have been a little bit higher up the ladder as far as Nick Saban's successor, but shit, they kicked him plumb up on the bed and threatened him to stick his head out. Stick his head out.
Yeah.
So Amazon's deal for just Thursday night games, the deal they got is 11 years, $13 billion
Oh, Jesus.
for
Wow.
only Thursday.
That's
Is
one
that
day.
annual too?
One
It's
day.
it's no, well 11 years, 13 billion. So that's what 1.25
Six.
Yeah,
billion
1
per
point
year or
something.
soming like that.
Oh, okay.
That's a
So it's over
God
a
almighty.
billion a year.
That's still a
Hundred
lot,
million.
man.
A lot of
That's
money, man.
1,000 million, rather.
And Kirk Herbstreit is now, because he get a raise, is making 18 million a year as an announcer, only
Look
for
at-
Thursday
God
night
bless him.
games.
God bless
Look at what did they pay Stephen? What they pay Stephen A? What did he get? I heard, but I can't
His
remember the
was
number.
sickening, but I don't think it was that big.
I thought somebody said, was it close to 25 or 30? Well, it was more than
Here
that.
it is.
What
Here
was
is.
it? What was it, Jonathan?
Let me bring it up. Oh my gosh, stupid
You
ad.
talking about the dude on game day?
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith, who he's talking. I
Yeah.
can't stand
Stephen A.
that
Smith.
dude.
Oh, he makes a
Well,
buttload of money.
I'm not no big fan of it. I couldn't remember the amount of
I
money.
can't
I heard it,
stand
but I
that
couldn't
son of a
remember it. It was unreal what they paid him.
I know it's 100 million total.
Yeah.
I just don't remember how many years.
Yeah.
So he makes it's a 25-year, $25 million contract.
25 mil a year.
It says right here is what I don't trust this source. Hang on, let me try to find a better source here.
Well, he ain't living in a van down by the river. That's
No,
hell no, he ain't.
No. He owns the river and the van.
Yeah.
I can't remember myself either what his contract was. It was absurd. It was that. I can guarantee you that.
he's
That and Pat McAfee's contract. Remember the layoffs? I'm convinced they did all that. They signed Stephen A, but Pat McAfee got that massive deal. And I'm just gonna call it what it is. I love his show, but what he breaks at College Game Day and everything's a circus, and I don't
You don't
really
like
like it too much, man. No.
5-year deal. He got $60 million a year. That's his new contract, Stephen A. $60 million a year for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
$300 million contract. God almighty. Huh?
It's
Yeah.
unreal, isn't it?
What island are you going to buy? Gee whiz.
That was
Yeah.
that was in 2019. I think it's even higher than
No,
that.
so it's New York Post here. They said it's a 5-year, $90 million total, $18 million
Okay.
per year, and he's the highest outside of Pat McAfee. He's the highest paid announcer.
Wow.
Pat McAfee is the highest, I believe now.
I think it says it was earnings during the I see was on Fox Sports Radio. Smith signed a 5-year deal. Now this is 2019, worth $60 million in 2019, which was the biggest salary of ESPN's contributor at the time.
Yep.
And he's got more. His money's even wood up. So yeah, it's unreal. I'm sure it's unreal stuff.
And Pat McAfee's is 4 years, $120 million with $85 million up front.
Unreal.
Oh, wow.
Unreal. Yeah.
Get you some.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just
I think
crazy.
crumbs.
Yes, that's why you can't keep up with all that stuff no more. They swapping, trading, and all this stuff. I'm glad we got Google here. We can keep up with all this lovely money. Yeah, somebody's making the money, and you wonder why. That's what I said a while ago about the economy. When these big companies, they looking at it different. What us middle class people are looking at it the way we look at it. We're way off from one another somewhere. Way off.
It makes
Way
me
off.
angry when I go to the grocery store. Trust me.
Way off.
I grew up in a grocery store, literally. So
When you got that kind of
prices
money,
really makes
unreal.
me angry when I have to pay $4 a pound for some damn pork chops.
The bottom line is, before I get off, I wanted to ask y'all who y'all think will win the national championship this year. Who's you pick? Lay it on us. I want to hear it. I want to hear this one.
Good Lord, I don't want to do this.
Oh, you got to think about it.
I'll make a bold claim. Bold claim. I think Texas could do it. I think they could do it.
Everybody goes quiet. They don't want to talk to you anymore.
No, I mean,
no, man. I think Sark has the pieces, and I think even if he makes the SEC title or something, look, they get in that 12-team playoff, man. They could be dangerous. They made the playoffs last year. They played a really good game with Washington. They bring those pieces back, plus what they bring in the portal. I think they're set up for really good success.
Yeah, they were banged up a little bit in the playoff last year. I think maybe it might have cost them a little bit. I don't know. Y'all go.
And here's the thing that I don't think is going to be Georgia, Harry. It's not because it's Georgia, and I'm not saying it to be biased or anything. I think this year for the 12-team playoff, you're going to get that smaller, not like smaller school, but you're going to get a lower seed that's going to be a little bit doubted, and there's going to be some big time momentum for them to run the table.
All right, we got Texas. Texas. Who's next?
I'm not seeing this. So.
I go with consistency. Kirby Smart has not left Georgia. As far as I'm aware of, it's one of the most talented groups out there. So I got to go with consistent.
Unless Georgia. We have a rash of injuries.
Yeah, I won't even think about that.
A catastrophic state with our 2 deep. I mean, we got 44 guys to start anywhere in this country right now. I mean, we're deeper than that, but I make no bones about that. I promise you, unless we lose a whole bunch of guys to injury, we're gonna be in the hunt, and it's gonna be hard on whoever's on schedule. We are deep as sin. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
I think Alabama, if the 4-2-5 is at least decent, and now that you're looking at an air raid, you're going to see a lot of stick routes. You're going to see a lot of crosses and stuff like that. It's going to be hard as hell to stop Jalen Morrow and those receivers and the running back and the perfect group of running backs for it. Jesus.
If he can execute that passing attack, I mean, That's
But
a
hey,
that's
he
a
has better players.
I hope
that
he
doesn't
can.
matter. He's got
Like,
he's got to refine his touch. That's the only knock
come on,
on
Milrow.
Miller. Yeah, that's the only
He
knock
will.
on him. I
Well, I
got.
mean, you got to remember something, man. This is a pure progression air raid system. That means he's doing
Yeah.
what Lane Kiffin did. Jalen Milrow does not have to go through reads. The reads
Mhm.
come into his sight on his side of the field. That's why Penix was so damn good.
Yeah.
So, like, it's literally if you have an offense that's made for Jalen Milrow, this is that offense. That's what's so scary about it. But if Jalen Milrow gets hurt, we're going to be in damn trouble because Ty
Yeah.
Simpson is good. But in that offense, he's not Jalen Milrow.
No.
Right.
It takes you down a peg, like a big peg.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see
So-
how we'll see how it comes along. I mean, I'm not unfamiliar with DeBoer at all.
Yeah,
All of
I've-
his career, so
I
I've-
heard
he's a good
Simpson.
coach.
I heard
He's
Simpson.
very
Simpson
good.
didn't look too good today. They said.
it's the system, man. I've been following DeBoer for DeBoer's system for about 4 years because I knew Jamarcus Shepard, right, Nick Sheridan, and these guys. You know, they came in grouped together with Ryan Grubbs. So, like, when you look at the system, that it's the system that's so damn dangerous. And the one thing about Georgia and Kirby Smart, which they don't like doing, is they don't like the inability to play one high safety. And if you play one high safety against an air raid team like this, it's going to be like that. That's how they killed the Pac-12. Is the only team that did not play one high safety was Boise, and it didn't matter because the talent didn't match up at that point. But you're going to have to be patient with a team like Alabama. That means Kirby's going to have to like let them get the 6-yard dunks, the 10-yard, you know what I mean, hook patterns and stuff like that, and just bend don't break type system. So it's going to be real fun to watch.
Our secondary is comprised of nothing but 5-star athletes. And
Yeah.
I promise you, there's already this is confidential here. Actually, I'll go ahead and share something with you. We already have 6 guys ready to go, and backups behind them in a new scheme. So beware.
You know, I got you. But I mean, really, at this point, Alabama, Georgia, these teams are stacked top to bottom.
Oh yeah.
Like that's why, like, it's a matter of what's just going to work best.
Yeah.
That one day, that's what it's going to come down to. A one day.
Yeah, everybody
Which
has
makes
a
it
bad
fun.
day too.
It
Do
comes
what?
down. Yeah, it comes down like you said to a few plays, and
Yep.
I mean, you know, it's just boom. And if you don't make those few plays, you know that's it's either you're on the mountaintop or
margin of
you're down
victory,
in the
right?
valley. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
For sure.
agree.
Well, guys, Jonathan, thanks for joining the show, man, for
Oh, yeah, no
sure.
problem.
And it's always great having Harry and Waylon, but it's like 11 o'clock here, so I gotta hit the hay. But
Same.
hey, man, I love you guys, and I appreciate y'all coming on talking some college football. We'll definitely continue the conversation even more going forward as the season kicks off here in a week or two. So
Nice to meet you, Jonathan.
You
And,
too, Harry. It's nice seeing you,
and
Waylon.
Jonathan, it's
nice to meet
always
you,
good
Waylon.
hearing you again. Harry, it's always good listening to you too, Chris. I love all y'all. Holler at me if you
yes,
need me.
sir.
I'll catch y'all down the road again one of these days. Y'all be safe, okay?
All right, bless all y'all.
All right,
I'm
Waylon.
out of here.
See you guys.
Peace
Bye.
out. Be
All
good.
right. Thanks. All right, we're out of here. Love you guys. Jesus loves you. God bless and roll tide. Thank you so much to everyone for coming on tonight. We had a really good show, and yeah, we're ready to hit the hay. So we'll see y'all.